as me on a Friday lunchtime. So welcome to this live. Welcome. Good to have you here. Do let me know where you are in the world. I'm in Leeds, in Yorkshire, in the north of England, and the sun's finally come out. So that's something to be celebrated. If nothing else, let's celebrate the fact that the flipping sun's come out, because it has rained a lot here. Oh, Mexico. Oh, sunny. No, you're sunny there today, Paula. That's good. Mexico sounds lovely right now. I actually know somebody who's in Mexico at the moment on holiday. A client of mine is in Mexico on holiday. We've got rain in Florida. The whole world's going mad, isn't it? I imagine it's very warm, Chloe, in Mexico, and not so much here. It's 15 degrees and drizzle mostly. It has rained so much in the last few days. I don't think I've ever seen rain like it in the UK in August. I'm wearing a jumper. That's how bad it is. I'm actually wearing a jumper. Like the jumper I normally sit here in the winter, I'm actually wearing it. So hi, Lindsay from Jacksonville Beach in Florida. How's your weather then? Because EJ says it's raining there. So I know that's like saying it's raining here, and is it raining in Scotland? Because it's so far, it can be so far away from each other. I actually have family who live in Florida. I'd love to tell you whereabouts, but not off the top of my head. I can't remember. But yeah, 3 of my cousins live in Florida with their families. My cousins that were from here, I grew up with them. They now live in Florida, so lucky them. Weather-wise, anyway. So welcome. Let me know if you're new, or if you're a regular, or a repeat offender, as we like to call people who keep coming back for this. It's brilliant. It's so good that people do come back. It makes me very well. I was about to say it makes me really happy, but of course my happiness does not have anything to do with the outside world, as I know. But I enjoy the fact that people come back and want to learn more about what I share. So what I share is called the 3 Principles Understanding. I call myself a human potential catalyst, and at the moment, I don't know, it could change, but that's what I'm seeing at the moment about how I help people. I help people to reveal that which is inside them, that maybe they can't see. I've just had a lovely conversation with a man, actually, who, as he was sharing with me what he'd already seen around this understanding, I just kept saying to him, you've already seen so much, but it's what we haven't seen and how we beat ourselves up about it that can be the problem, really. And how there's an impatience and a desire to get somewhere to seek. So that's how I got to this 3 Principles Understanding, because I was on a journey of seeking my well-being, first of all, quite dramatically in the outside world, properly with people and circumstances and trying to make them different. And then with this thought and feeling control, I'm going to say nonsense, because it turns out you can't really do that unless you want to do that for the rest of your life, which is what I was on a path to do until I came across this understanding in January 2020. And it has revealed a lot of me that I didn't know was there. And so it's quite a joy, really. Life is so much more of a joy now. So what does a human potential catalyst do? Well, I help people to see what's inside them, what's already there. This is not ever about adding more in. There's already a lot in there, you may have noticed. And there's a lot in my head anyway, and we don't need any more noise in our heads. This is not, it's subtractive psychology, as I've heard. I can't remember which teacher I originally heard say that. And it's all based in the 3 principles. If you've come across the 3 principles, let me know in the comments that you've heard of it already. If you haven't already heard about it, let me know. I do have one track. If you follow me and hop along to my profile, I have one track called What Are the 3 Principles and Why Did They Bring More Ease to Life? And I definitely recommend listening to that one. So Lindsay, you've not heard of the 3 principles. So the three principles are thought, consciousness, and mind, and they are really simple, like the jigsaw pieces of human experience. It's been complicated or overcomplicated, I would say, where our human experience comes from. You know, what is going on in the human being? Why do we feel the way we feel, think the way we feel, behave the way we behave? Has been very much complicated by psychology. And the three principles brings some real simplicity to it in terms of the description of how life works. So it is descriptive and not prescriptive. So you'll hear me talk a little bit about what I do, but you won't hear me tell you what to do, because that is not the aim here. The aim is for you to have less on your mind, more access to intuition and wisdom, so that you really can listen to your heart and soul more and spend less time listening to what's in your psychology, and just change your relationship with all of that. So a lot of things we can do to help ourselves feel better are about changing our thoughts and feelings, having different ones. I had a chat to somebody a few days ago, and it was very much, well, I speak to people all day, every day actually, who are looking to try and change their thoughts and feelings in a very deliberate fashion. And I would say this understanding is more about changing your relationship with your thoughts and feelings. I still have negative thoughts. I still have icky feelings. Not as many as I used to, because they've disappeared of their own accord. But I still have them, but I just don't make any meaning about them now. And that changes an awful lot, doesn't it? Because if we think our thoughts are a problem and our feelings are a problem, we tend to think we're a problem. And that's not particularly helpful for us to feel good. So what I do on Insight Timer is I share this three principles understanding from a different theme each month. So this month's theme is relationships. Last month's theme was productivity. And what's been really interesting about the two is that I'm finding that the titles that are coming to mind, or the subject areas that have an impact on our relationships, are very much the same things as have an impact on our productivity. So perfectionism and inner critic and imposter syndrome, all the kind of same kind of things are coming up, in terms of, they have an impact on both. So but this month we're exploring it very specifically around relationships. And I do have 4 courses here on Insight Timer. They're all pointing in the same direction towards the 3 principles, just in different subject areas. And the one this month that's relating to relationships is creating harmonious connections and enhancing relationships with the 3 principles. And what I'm really enjoying about this course in particular is I'm seeming to get a lot more people messaging me and getting into conversations, which is great, because that is it's great to pick up people's insights and support people where they're perhaps not seeing it or they're feeling stuck. And so I don't know if you've done any of the courses, but you can leave people a little message, and then the teachers, and then I give a little voice note back, and it's a really great way to communicate people and get to know you a little bit better as well. So please do follow me, check out the link in my bio, and that's where you can see everything. Like if you go and follow me now, you'll see I've just today scheduled all 5 lives for next week, so you can join me next week and learn a little bit more about this subject and how it impacts on our relationships. So this, as I say, this month's theme is relationships, but I'm not quite got a theme for September. September's a funny time of year for me, because I did used to be a primary school head teacher, and I burnt out in 2015, and so September's always still feels like the fresh start time of year for me, like an almost new beginnings kind of thing. So it might be something like that, but what I am willing to hear is, what are you stuck with? What for you is an area for suffering in your life? What seems to be in the way of your happiness and your contentment and your peace of mind? And I'd love to speak to those things. If nothing else comes up, I'm probably just going to do a basic 3 principles course for people to have a look at. So please let me know if you've got a subject that you would like to know more about, and just feel better about anything in your life that just feels like it's in the way. So I'm just going to put the light on, because I've got a lot of light coming from there and it all just looks a bit. So let's have, yeah, I think that's a little bit better. Shouldn't really need the light on in August, should I? But apparently we do at the moment. So let's crack on with this. So as I'm speaking today, what I really love is for you to comment, to share the things around this subject that you find difficult or that are causing issues for you. I wonder if it's actually my computer screen that is a little bit dark. I don't look so dark now. Probably didn't look that dark to you before, but I did to me because of my computer screen was turned down. Because if I read on my computer, I turn it really dark and grey so that I can read properly. So we're going to look at empowered communication today, and how that really is rooted in our ability to listen. So what's really interesting about this subject for me is that I've come up against some theories about listening over the years, and have noticed how complicated it can become. So let me know in the comments if you have done some kind of training on listening skills, or you've read a blog on it, or you've listened to a podcast on it, or something like that. I'm glad I don't have to listen to anybody right now, because I have a fly that buzzing. Probably saw it a moment ago, just buzzing across my face. Quite distracting. Although the fly, of course, isn't distracting. My thinking about the fly is distracting me right now. So so I've done a lot of, I've looked at this area, or been kind of involved in studies that have had bits to do with it. So a couple of things, I've done coaching training in the past, and that talks about listening skills and what to do to be a better listener. And I then, when I first came across the principles in January 2020, I was part way through a NLP, neuro-linguistic programming course. And there was all this stuff about building rapport and how to have better rapport and how to listen better. And it was all very much how to. And I found that it got in the way, even then, even early on in my 3 principles journey, and even before that, we can kind of get very caught up in a strategy, can't we? So that when we go to do something, we end up trying to remember what we're supposed to do to make that thing work, to do that thing well, perhaps. And listening, I think, can be one of those things. So let me know if you've done some training, and also let me know if you've just arrived, and let me know where you are in the world, because I can see the numbers going up on the list of people here. So let me know where you are in the world, and what's brought you here today. Why this session? Why did it appeal? And if you've been before, or you're a repeat offender, we're calling people who keep coming back repeat offenders, just because it came out of my mouth one time when I was doing a session, and it made perfect sense to oh, hello Claudia, lovely to see you, the lovely Claudia. So yeah, I think listening as a thing to do can become very complicated, just like anything else, really. And I think that's the thing with this conversation, the 3 principles conversation, is we're looking for where we're adding noise into the system. I mean, my head can be quite busy already without sitting there trying to remember that I'm supposed to be looking a certain way, or looking which way somebody's eyes are going to check whether I'm listening, whether they're, what kind of part of their mind they're accessing, or some other such complicated thing. So I mean, how do they even know that? I mean, when I think about it, it sounds a bit made up. Just like... Anyway, so do they know it through testing, Claudia? Go on then. Maybe they do. Anyway, it can all be very complicated. And the other place where, so what's interesting for me at the moment is that I'm doing my Institute of Leadership Management coaching and mentoring. Jeff, you're a recidivist, I think, and I don't know what one is, Jeff. I probably should know that. Let me know. Oh, a repeat offender. You are, Jeff. And always, Jeff makes me laugh at least at some point in this session. Absolutely love it. Thanks, Jeff. So at the moment, I'm doing my Institute of Leadership Management Level 5 coaching and mentoring. What interesting. I've just submitted part 1 of the assignment 1, question 1. There's 5 parts to question 1. The whole assignment is supposed to be 5,000 words, and my question 1 answer is 6,000 words. So there's a bit of culling, perhaps. Although the people delivering it don't seem to care. I'm going to have written a dissertation by the end, I think. But I'm really enjoying the exploration. So the next unit, question 2, is all about the skills of coaching and mentoring. And what's really interesting for me is that I've already started a little bit of reading, and we've got a sample assignment, so I'm having a glance through that, and I can see that there's going to be a lot of rules of listening and what to do to listen and how to listen best and blah blah blah, like all of that stuff. I can see it already, and I'm going to have fun writing that assignment, because I think I am going to say what I think about it, which is probably, I should probably record this and have it be my assignment. That's a good one, Claudia. Start by listening to yourself. Well, so for me, this is how simple it is. Now, when I'm saying this, I do not want you to go, oh, well, I can't do it like that, so there must be something wrong with me and I need to learn better, and I don't want you to, but this is how I see it now. Anything that involves, first of all, anything that involves a connection with another human being, and listening is one of those things, goes better when we have less on our minds. Hello, Patrice from Wisconsin. Welcome. So I'll just say that again. Anything that we are doing with the idea of connecting more deeply with another person works better when we have got less on our minds. So to me, all these tools and techniques and things that add extra rules about how to do things makes more noise in our heads. And one of the places where I really saw a transformation in this was that I used to be a hypnotherapist and NLP practitioner. So I used to use a lot of tools and techniques and a lot of different, when you're doing hypnotherapy, I don't know if there's any other hypnotherapists in the room, but when you're doing hypnotherapy, there's all these different protocols that you can use. And so I found that when I was working with people, the listening was very much focused on how do I get the information out of them so that I've got the right information, so that then I can hypnotize them using the protocol that I want to use. First of all, I'm listening for which protocol. Then I'm listening for, have I got all the information to do the protocol? And so there was just a lot of noise all the time, and it was all very not almost frantic, almost urgent to get the information. My sessions often ran over because I was so meticulous trying to get all the information out of people. So Claudia, you've said listening without needing to respond. Yeah, tell me a little bit more. You think it's connected to one's self-esteem? Possibly. Well, let's have a look at it a bit more deeply. So the difference, I noticed very quickly the difference with the 3 principles conversation, where I'm coaching and mentoring people to help them to have a nicer experience of life, reveal their true potential, etc., was that I didn't have to go in with anything on my mind. And this is one of my issues with this Institute of Leadership and Management training, is that it's a lot more structured. The approaches that I'm looking at are more about things like the GROW model and that kind of thing. And as a result, I can already feel the sense that it could go in the direction of there being too much noise. But luckily, I've connected with a lady who's connected together the 3 principles and the ICF framework, which is the International Coaching Federation. So that'll be interesting. So just popping over to the chat for a moment. Lisa, you're saying listening instead of hearing, big difference, absolutely. Claudia, being present, absolutely vital. We'll be talking about that a lot. Jeff says, sounds like when I did a lot of photography, thinking about getting the best framing view often made me miss the wonder around me. Oh, Jeff, that's such a beautiful metaphor. I think that's absolutely spot on. That is a great metaphor, definitely. So there's all this noise. These are the rules. This is how to do listening, etc. Now, for me, listening is still changing. It's still changing every time I sit down with someone, which is wonderful, because I think that's the thing with this conversation. There's always more to see, but not in there's always more to make me better, but just in awe and wonder almost. There's more for me to see. So what I notice now is that I notice really a lot more. Absolutely, Claudia. Listening stops when thinking starts. And that's exactly where I'm pointing to, because now I do think, and if you've spent some time with me, you can confirm this or not, that I am quite a good listener. That I was in a coaching space yesterday where I do some volunteering, and I didn't do much talking at all, really. I was there for 2 hours, and I, probably spoke for about 5 minutes of that. Because, and both people who came in and spoke to me who were quite wound up just said they were grateful for the space to just... Thank you, Claudia. You enjoyed the conversation with me. Thank you so much. Me too, actually. It was lovely. And you felt equal, and we were both listening and talking. Yeah, it had a nice flow to it, I think, the conversation with you, Claudia. I'd love to have another one. And, Claudia's had a conversation with me. That is a gift that's available to all of you too. Check out the link in my bio to find out more about that. If Claudia can, then you can too. So there's this again, and I think this is just everything, really. It's awareness. And knowing that I operate best when there is less on my mind. Because that's when I'm connected to the connection between me and another person in front of me. Because that's really where nature is. That's really where the oneness is. That's really the truth about us. It's not in separation. It's not in there's a me and the you, there's a me listening and there's a you speaking. It is in seeing that we are all the same and we are all connected. And there's something in that space that we all live in, that we all occupy, really. So this is one of the things I see, and this is why I think the quietness of the mind and the presence are so important for listening and connecting with another person. And sometimes for me, that connection happens in silence. Not too much, because I do still find silence not busy enough for Claire. She likes to be busy. But it is to me, there's the diamond inside. That is the diamond that's inside. It's the same diamond inside all of us. This is me trying to point at fire with ice, of course. So it's not going to sound like logic. It's going to sound a bit floaty, but that's fine. So there's a diamond. It connects all of us. We're all the same. And then we learn to think, and our heads get noisy, don't they? And then there's a separation. A separation occurs. If my fingers are thought, and I should have 7.8 billion fingers, because that's what's happening. So there's this energy that connects all. Imagine it's like the core of everything. And then thought comes in, and that separates us. So when we're listening to somebody, when we're really listening, and we fall into that space, we fall into quiet, there's just naturally a deeper connection with another person. And that means that they can be saying things or not saying things. We can be in a conversation or we can be in silence. Doesn't really matter. So yeah, it sounds like alchemy, magic. Yeah. And Claudia, putting two together that would normally not go together. Yeah. So that sounds like an ideal, doesn't it? Like, it sounds like I'm presenting to you, right, all you need to do is sit there in silence and listen to the other person. And then that's it. That's all there is. Like, it sounds like that, doesn't it? I hope it doesn't sound like that. I hope you get that I'm joking and being slightly sarcastic there. But as I have a propensity to do. So if you don't like sarcasm or occasional crying, then you're on the wrong live. Because I have a tendency towards both those things. So it's back to awareness. Let's get back to awareness. That's where I was going with this, wasn't I? That there's a noticing. So sometimes for me, there's a noticing. Excuse me. There's a noticing that I'm not listening. Occasionally, not too much these days, or that I'm judging, or that I'm thinking about my shopping list, or that I'm thinking, oh, I forgot to do the thingamajig. Got to do the thingamajig. Bother. Like there's a bit of that. And I'm going to share this with you because I think we're cool with this. I think I even like that presence and that connection, like with my fiance. I notice now that there's not as much noise there. So when we're together, like romantically together, there's less noise and there's a deeper connection. So what's the kind of formula, what's going on here? And what can we see about it is what we're always looking at. Well, what's going on is our noisy mind butting in with its pontifications on things. So our noisy mind is just busy all the time, isn't it? It's like the clouds, which appear to be disappearing now from the sky in Leeds, but who knows? They'll probably be back. Seems to be that way out at the moment, the weather. Is that they're just popping in and out, aren't they? And it's really to do with, like, while I'm listening to somebody, thoughts will just be like bubbles popping in my head. Pop, 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 floating past, pop, 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 And some of those thoughts might seem more important than the person sat in front of me. But so without awareness, I will be, oh, there's a very interesting bubble. I'll just follow that one and go see where it goes. Oh, yeah, I need to do that. What about that? Oh, not sure about what this person's saying. What are they on about? Or whatever. And I'll be engaging in that. And then like Claudia said, she mentioned presence before. I won't be present. I'll be in my head. And this really is encapsulated very beautifully by one of my favourite Eckhart Tolle quotes. So Eckhart Tolle, not everything he says I quite hold with, but he does point in a very similar direction. It's just that he still encourages the use of tools and techniques and stuff. Is the moment you notice you are not in the present moment, you will naturally fall into the present moment. So there ends up being an almost flow up and down. So I'm in the I'm listening to somebody, the start of a conversation, we tend to be quite engaged, don't we? And then, or perhaps we're not. Perhaps we've come in, we're already distracted because something's been going on. And we've come in a little bit distracted, or maybe whatever. At some point in the conversation, at some point, we're totally engaged. So let's imagine that's like down here, because I'm going to do it that way up, because we're down here and we're quiet, our mind is quiet, and we're present. We're listening, we're connecting, we're finding out about the other person. We're curious about them. We want to know more. And this can be with anybody. This can be with your partner, particularly with your teenage kids. Absolutely stop telling your teenage kids stuff and listen to them. That's me telling you what to do, but just because their perspective is so different, you can only know if you listen a lot, calmly. So we're like this, we're calm and we're listening, and we're really listening, we're really present, and we might be getting curious about the other person and we're really listening to them. But then we start to notice, then something comes in, yada yada, and maybe it's about forgetting to buy bread. So it'll be there and then it'll be gone and we're back into the presence again. And then there might be a little thought about judgment, and then we're kind of up here, and we might disappear for a little while up into our thinking and disconnected and not listening. But then we notice, and then we come back, and then we back down again. Because the process of noticing is a present moment activity. So if we think about our psychological functioning, when we are observing, when we're in that place of awareness, when we're in that place of observation, we are in the present moment. We can't not be. That's a kind of natural consequence. We fall into the present moment when we are, it's a natural consequence of noticing we're not in the present moment. So Claudia used to pretend to be listening a lot in the past. Well, I think we all sometimes do that now, don't we? I think it's quite hard when I've got a very well, I don't know. I'm not going to say a story about me, but at the moment it seems I do get distracted quite easily, and probably always have done. And so this business of trying to learn online whilst there are all these other tempting windows around you on the computer. I wonder whether I should turn up to all my training on my phone, actually, because then it's a lot harder to flick between things, isn't it? Like when I'm on a computer, I can be on Zoom on one window and I can be doing something completely different on the other. And then I'm certainly not listening very well at all. So there's sort of a journey that goes on, and it's a journey that's natural. Whereas what I see can happen if we think, oh, there's a tool or a technique or something to do about listening, is that yes, there's a noticing that we're not listening, and then there's a great big heap of nasty judgment, very judgmental, and to be judgmental of ourselves, don't we, to think we've got to correct it. So there's we're listening, and then we're not listening, and then we're judging ourselves. That's some more thinking, and then we're trying to remember what that person told us about how to listen better, and we're engaged in that, and that's more thinking, and then we're thinking, oh, why am I still not thinking? Why am I still not listening and present with this person? And that's some more thinking. And before you know it, 10 minutes has gone by and you've not a flipping clue what the other person said. I mean, if you're with somebody who's talking, well, I sit with people for a lot of time where they maybe talk for 10 minutes without me speaking. But can you see how it's a trap. The mind is a trap, bless its cotton. It's amazing because it does so much quality stuff for us. But it's the bits we use it for that it's not meant for that is the problem. And our brain is not meant to help us listen. Oh my God, I've never said that before. Our brain is not meant to help us listen. It's got nothing to do with our brain. If we're in that place of true connection, we're in our heart, not our brain. Your psychology doesn't know how to listen. It knows some rubbishy rules about listening that we picked up on an NLP course. But listening doesn't happen in the head, it happens in the heart. Especially with what we're talking about today. No rules, Claudia, love that. Especially with what we're talking about today, which is connecting to people who we want to have a relationship with. And this is so important. It's so important because how we are with our communication in our relationship is how our relationship is. Our relationships are founded on that, on communication. If we're not communicating well in our relationships, it's not going to be going well. So the 3 principles really does help us to see what's going on when we're not listening, when we're away off into our psychology. But also it helps us to notice, because I pretty much guarantee that if somebody's talking to you and you're up here, kind of in this space, doing a lot of dancing around, it'll feel off. There'll be a sensation in your body. There'll be a feeling of disconnect. It might take a bit to tune in to that feeling, but maybe not. Maybe it's really there. Maybe somebody who's listening today can relate to that sort of off feeling when somebody's sharing with us and we're not really listening. So that's interesting, Claudia. Your partner is not good at communicating, but he's good at listening. So at the end, we can still have a good communication, as I'm good at communicating and pointing in the right direction, etc. That's interesting. Yeah, I wonder what I'd say about Bruce in that regard. Yeah, it's something that Bruce and I explore a lot, is communication and how well it's going in our relationship. And you just I'm thinking now, how much do I listen to him? But he's not a big talker. He's not. I'm the talker and the listener. I know, that's a bit illogical, isn't it? So I do encourage talking from him, but it's not his area of interest, I suppose. I'm not going to say it's an aptitude, it just isn't what he does. So back to the feeling, because the feeling is, everything. When we're talking from this 3 principles perspective, we talk about the feeling a lot, and the reason we do that is because the feelings are the guide. The sensations in your body are the guide. So I guarantee that when you're sitting with somebody and listening to them with nothing on your mind, when there's a quietness here, it feels good. It feels loving and heartfelt and calm. It feels peaceful, and it feels like you're connected to that other person. Like sometimes with Bruce and I, we'd just be out for a walk and something will be there on the side of the road, or and we'll almost both, or I'll say it or he'll say it, or we'll say it at the same time. We'll say the same thing, or I'll say it and he'll go, "Oh, I was just about to say that," or he'll say it and I say, "Oh my God, I was just about to say that." Because in the quiet, we are one anyway. So there's almost no need to communicate. And I think when we're in a really lovely place with somebody, we can just sit in silence. We don't need to say anything. Bruce and I, when we're in the motorhome, will often just be silent for long periods, just occasionally pointing something out, or just, noticing something out the window, or commenting on the weather or whatever, or talking about where we're going or what we're going to do. But long periods of quiet, really long periods of quiet. So the feeling is key. That when we're caught up in our psychology, we're we're with another person, and we want to connect with them, it will feel off. And maybe that's somewhere to bring some awareness to. If this is a direction you're looking in, and you'd like to have deeper connections, and you'd like to be able to listen to people more, and notice what it feels like when you're not. Start to notice that, because that's all this is. And when I say notice, I do not mean and beat yourself up about it. I mean just notice. Just notice. What does it feel like when you're with somebody and you start to go off into some judgmental thought or distracting thought or thought about yourself or whatever? What does it feel like? Maybe some of you already have noticed what it feels like. So Claudia, you say you feel like people who just talk a lot in conversations are not good listeners and are egocentric. Well, I'm psychologically innocent. Whatever we think about other people, first of all, is to do with us, not them. And second of all, is psychologically innocent. I go to a lot of networking events, and online ones in particular tends to be kind of a 1 minute pitch. Somebody does a 1 minute pitch about their business, showing what they do and, who would like to work with, that kind of thing. And I've been to some meetings where they say, try and keep it to about a minute. And other meetings where they say, look, we're not too fussy, just don't tell us your life story. And then people just tell their life story. And they just keep talking and talking and talking. And that's innocent. That's just them not knowing and not being aware and thinking that we thinking that they should know better is no good for us. They don't know better. Whatever better might be, which is also made up by us. It's not a sign that people are not considerate. It's not a sign that people are stupid. It's not a sign that people are wrong. It's just people doing the best they can with the level of awareness that they're at and the thinking that looks true to them. That's it, all so innocent. So innocent. And, that's been one of the joys of this conversation for me, is that my ability to just be with someone and listen to them has hugely transformed. And without all those tools and techniques and strategies for listening, which is why writing this Institute of Leadership and Management assignment is going to be lots of funsies. It's going to be really good fun. Trying to articulate that without saying, all your tools and techniques are rubbish. It's going to be fun. Yeah, Claudia, I like people to be considerate of others too, but it's not that people are being inconsiderate, it's that we think they are. It's that we're taking a behaviour and we're making meaning out of that. They're not being inconsiderate, whatever that even means. We should maybe explore that word alongside perfectionism. And I mean, for me, that's perfectionism. When I think people are being wrong, why aren't they being more considerate? Why don't they know better? They should be in a nice, neat table. And I was chatting to somebody earlier. I was saying, I like people if they're just all in a table, nice straight boxes and stuff. That'd be really good. But they're not, are they? Because human beings aren't like that. So, Jeff, you feel you need to try not to solve the problem. I think I hear they're saying that's when you drift away and feel from the feeling meaning of what they're trying to communicate. Summary, don't mansplain. Yeah, there's a great video, a great TED, I think it's a TED talk I watched a little while ago as part of this training I'm doing, and it's called How to Tame Your Advice Monster. And that's the joy of the 3 principles for me, because you'll have noticed I've not given you any advice. I'm trying to explain to you how it works, what the feelings are about, what's going on when we're not, bringing awareness. It's not how to do it at all. It's just, this is how it works. It's just noticing, oh, that's how it works. Claudia, yes. Interesting thought to consider. I do see what you did there. Yes, the advice monster. My advice monster was a beast. I mean, it's like a little fluffy, growly thing now, but it was like a great big hairy filler cave bear previously. And it's poor Bruce still gets to bring front of my advice monster. And it's really interesting on this coaching and mentoring courses that this is where I'm going to be looking, especially to be more in a place of coaching than guiding. I like to guide Bruce in his life. So I'm looking to be more in a place of coaching, conversation, questioning, rather than telling him what to do. So that'll be fun, won't it? So what have we done so far? But maybe nobody's there to guide anyone apart from to guide them towards the truth of who they are, Claudia. Do we need guidance, or do we need a good listening to? I think it was Elsie Spittle, who's one of the 3 principles teacher. I'm sure it was her who said everybody needs a good listening to. And so often when I'm working with somebody, like I was in this volunteer coaching space I'm in yesterday, and I was chatting to a few different people. Well, not really chatting, actually listening. And there was one man who came in quite wound up, and he just talked and talked and talked. He just talked, and I just sat and listened, and listened and listened. And I only said a very few words. Might have asked him a few questions. In fact, I probably just asked him a few questions. And at the end, he just said, "Oh, thank you so much." He said, "I don't know what you did or said, but I feel so much better." And I was thinking, oh, damn, I don't know what I did or said either. Bother. If I'd have known, I could have bottled it up and sold it. Yeah, everybody's got blind spots, Claudia. Me too. That's why I'm in this conversation and stay in it, because the longer I stay in it, the more those blind spots just fall away. And I suddenly can see something I couldn't see before. It's like the most powerful but easy route to enlightenment. Just every so often, just thinking, oh, I don't see that like that anymore. I see that really differently, which is cool. Yeah, I mean, I often think my man needs telling what to do, Rachel. All the time. Bless his cotton socks. Yeah, I mean, I think we all, like you're saying there, Claudia, I want to hear other people's viewpoints. Interesting, you know. But I think that's where I'm enjoying this course I'm doing in terms of looking at mentoring, because I think mentoring is about saying, have you thought about your possibilities? Do you have you got any other, have you got ideas of your own? Do you want to hear some of the things that I've come across in life? It's that kind of thing, and I quite like that. Yeah, I don't know whether I'm ascending or what's happening. I don't think we ever will, because I just think that's off we go to heaven, isn't it? That point. And I like being here. But I think we can have a nicer experience of life. We can have less suffering. We can be less bothered. We can have more fun, more lightness. I just feel lighter. I feel emotionally lighter. And it was interesting, actually. Yesterday, I was in this coaching space, this volunteer space, and there was a young woman who comes in quite often, and she was talking about some process she was doing to release something that she thought was there, and how she was trying to work out why she was in a low mood and what had happened, and just a lot of stuff. And at one point, I just said to her, I don't think I can be bothered anymore. I don't care why. If I'm in a low mood, I'm in a low mood. And it's low mood thinking. And if I leave that alone for long enough, it'll be gone. And I don't want to know why. And I don't want to explore it. I don't want to look at it, poke it, prod it. Because I know that holds it in place. But that's come from the knowing. Now I really know that holds it in place. I really know that the more I look at something icky, the more icky it gets. And the more stuck it feels. Awareness, Claudia, is the key. Just noticing when it's psychology and when it feels good. Because the two are often diametrically opposite. So I'm going to chat a little bit about what's coming up. I'll find my phone. I'm going to look at my Insight Timer profile on my phone, which I have open here. And what was I going to say then? Yeah, and just let you know what's coming up. And just to remind you that these sessions are brought to you by donation. If you are able to make a donation today, I haven't mentioned that today, then please do. I've been really grateful if you do. Also to let you know that I have 4 courses on Insight Timer. And that's the other way you can support me, is by having a look at those courses. It's also a way for you to support yourself, of course. But drop me messages on those courses, interact with me there, because that's another way you can support me on Insight Timer. So what day are we on? We're on Friday. So Monday the 7th, freeing yourself from relationship patterns. So this should be fun, because we're really going to look at those things that we keep repeatedly doing in our relationships. And I still have lots of them. So it will be fun. It'll be helpful to me also, I hope, to explore that. And that is at 3:50 p.m. And these are all BST. So I think if you go onto the app and you follow me, it converts it to your time zone anyway, I think, doesn't it? So you can do it that way. So Tuesday the 8th, I have to work out the day because it doesn't say the day on here. 8:05, navigating relationship challenges with resilience. Wednesday the 9th at 2:05 p.m, embracing vulnerability as a gateway to intimacy. 10th at 11:05 a.m, connecting with intuition to guide your relationships. Which is a nice follow-up from today, because I think we talked a lot about intuition today. So, and then the 11th of August at 1:11 p.m. Oh, would you like all the ones there? Nurturing compassion and understanding. And that's at 1:11. Just said that, haven't I? So, I hope you found that helpful today. When he is borderliner, then I'm not sure. Please just give me a little bit more on that. I'm not really sure what you're asking. Please do let me know if you've got any questions in the comments. Please say hi if you've not said hi yet, because we will be going soon. But don't worry if you've missed it. There's a track. I don't know if it's been approved yet. I just had a load approved, and there were so many that I just can't delete the email. But I think all my tracks are up to date and approved now, and I think I've got a track on here with a similar title to this, which I recorded this morning, or yesterday. So I think it's been approved. So if you have missed this, you can go and find a track with a similar title to this. If you want to find out more about how I communicate with my fiance when tension rises, or you want to know how to communicate with your partner when tensions arise, that will be really well covered in the one about compassion that I've just mentioned, definitely. But so the key is awareness. So this is where the difference between an outside in understanding and an inside out understanding. So we're pointing to an inside out understanding. When we're in outside in confusion or misunderstanding, when we feel tense, it looks like it's the other person's thing. It's their behavior, it's their words, it's what they're doing or saying, and that the tension is coming from that place. And so it makes sense to communicate badly. It's what I say. And can I just tell you, I'm speaking from personal experience here. I don't know your situation. I can tell you about mine. So when I'm not aware, and perhaps I'm already in a bit of a low mood, and then Bruce, my fiance, does something that I think is irritating me, in that moment, it totally looks like it's him, the problem, he's the problem. Then I will speak to him, perhaps not in the nicest tone or with the nicest words. And that's the outside in misunderstanding. Anytime we think our feelings are coming from the outside world, we're in a place of misunderstanding and we behave with misunderstood behavior. It's like anything, it's like just in life generally, if we misunderstand something, we might do something that's not appropriate. So if we misunderstand our feelings and we think they're coming from that person, we tend to snap. The opposite is when we're in the truth. And the truth is, it's an inside out paradigm. Your experience is created inside out, not outside in. So then, when the person does something we don't like and we notice a feeling of discomfort, we stop. It's us that needs the space, Claudia, not them. Because the feeling is coming from us, not them. Doesn't matter what they're doing, if we're feeling off, that's us. Now, I have both experiences, and I probably have more of the outside in misunderstanding than I do the inside out, but it doesn't sustain as long as it used to. It disappears, and there are less of them. There are still less of them. So then, but I did have one massive thing that happened maybe a couple of months ago, where Bruce was upset with me about something, and he was speaking to me quite rudely and quite loudly. And I just stopped. And I could see his suffering. Really, really see it. I could really see that he was in pain. He was in an outside-in misunderstanding, and he was suffering as a result. And I felt such compassion for him, and I just stopped. I just stood and looked at him, and I felt so much love for him in that moment. And I could see his suffering, and then he just stopped talking and said, "Oh, sweetie, I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have spoken to you like that." It's always about us. Like EJ, when someone increases their volume, you find it difficult to hear and listen to them. How can you respond appropriately? By being with yourself, by being aware of yourself, by noticing how you're doing, and knowing that how you're doing here, the sensations in the body are letting you know how you're doing here. So this sensation is saying, if it's not a comfortable one, it's letting you know that this isn't helpful right now. There will be thoughts and there will be words wanting to come out of your mouth that will not help the situation. You're in a place of separation from the other. And like I said, when Bruce was upset, raising his volume, speaking to me unkindly, I just stopped. I don't think people can argue with themselves on a practical level, but on a heartfelt level, I just knew that he was suffering, and I loved him, and it stopped. Well, Rachel, it isn't about them, you're right. It is about our awareness, not of the situation, but of ourselves. The situation's got nothing to do with it. It's all coming from the inside. So every word said is being commented negative by him. It also corrects me, I beg, and say I'm sorry. I mean, it's difficult to explore this on a live that's about to finish with not much time left, but please keep coming to these sessions and reach out to me. You know, check out my link in the bio. There's places to message me there. You can message me on here. I don't want to leave you in a space, but I'm not going to just whack you with advice, because that's not what you need right now. You need help to connect to what's inside you and feel guided in every moment. Advice is it's temporary and it might work once, but really it's to connect to yourself and be guided by what's going on inside you. So please do reach out and connect with me. Yeah, and I can see you're all helping each other, which is lovely. But I will keep pointing you inside. I will keep doing that, because that's been the most transformational thing that I've seen now in terms of my interaction with other people, is that noticing me is the most important thing I can do. Not the other person, not the circumstances, not the noise, not the volume, not the words they're saying. What's going on inside you. Be guided by that feeling. Off feeling, you're not in a fit state to communicate. Off thinking, which might come out as repeatedly apologising, as somebody just said. You know, it might come out keeping on saying sorry, keeping on begging and doing things like that. That won't be coming from your guidance. That's coming from your thinking and fear. So please, please do reach out. I'm gonna call it a day now, because I feel like we're getting the chat's getting into advice, and I don't want to be hosting something where people are giving lots of advice, because that's not where we're looking at here. Advice is it's finding your intuition, finding your wisdom on everything, and it may be something completely different that anybody else has ever tried. But once you know what's going on in you, you will navigate life with more ease. Absolutely. So lots of love, everyone. As I've said, the same goes to everyone. Claudia's had a conversation with me. Please do reach out if you want to have a conversation about any of the things that's come up today. I don't want to leave anybody feeling like they're stuck. Feel free to drop me a message. Feel free to reach out. And there's some stuff in the link in my bio where you can join me for conversations. So lots of love, everyone. And please do as well keep coming and keep coming to these sessions and listen to the audios, the free ones, and check out the course too. And thank you to anybody who is able to make a donation today, or if you're on any Mad Tracks and you choose to make a donation there as well, that'd be lovely. So thank you so much for being here, and have a lovely, lovely weekend, and hopefully I'll see some of you on Monday. Lots of love.